massive and blatant campaign to censor the circulation of information that exposes that elite. And we've had this story. I mean, it's just one of many, but this is close to home for me. Leaked Google documents prove mass censorship, including DavidIcke.com, and election tampering. See, they're going on about the Russians. Oh, there's the Russians tampered with the president's election. When really, it's the Silicon Valley elite that own these big companies, or not even in Silicon Valley if you want the true owners, who are manipulating elections and manipulating public perception. This is the story. Google documents leaked by a whistleblower activist and Google employee, Zachary Voorhees, reveal black and white proof that the big tech giant is violating its mission statement, engaging in widespread censorship and tampering in US politics elections. Voorhees, to whom you can listen in interviews with Project Veritas and InfoWars, has taken 950 plus pages of internal Google documents and made them freely available on the website of Project Veritas. The docs contradict public statements by Google, including testimony under oath given to Congress by Google CEO Sundar Pichai, who tried to claim that Google's algorithm was fair, unbiased, and not rigged. You cannot believe a single syllable that comes out of the mouths of these people. And the best way I find, after all these years of research, to get to the truth of what they're saying is to reverse it, invert it. The documents include a blacklist of alternative sites, and on there is DavidIcke.com. Many libertarian and conservative right-wing, but also some non-partisan, which is what DavidIcke.com, the category that comes into. So it's not even political. It's not, DavidIcke.com does not push one political party or another. It exposes the corruption of the system and the nature of all parties being part of a one-party state. So it's not party political in any way, shape, or form, quite the absolute bloody opposite. But even that is being censored. Why? Because they don't want the truth to come out. Google has been intentionally downgrading, deranking, and burying these sites. Google does this in order to be an information gatekeeper in line with its own ideological bias. Well, it's not actually an ideological bias. This is one of the things that people need to grasp, especially on the right. They say it's a liberal bias. It's not a liberal bias. Liberals don't censor. Liberals demand freedom of speech for all and freedom of opinion for all. That's what liberals do. This is not about a liberal ideology running Silicon Valley. It's about a cabal ideology censoring anything left or right that exposes its machinations. Which is why DavidIcke.com, which is neither left nor right nor center, but withdrawn from that whole bullshit, is treated like all the others who are politically partisan. So it says that it's Google also does this to enact perception control on the population. Well, that is true. On behalf of its masters in the shadows. Ditto. Zachary Voorhees was at Google for 8 years. He started as a junior engineer, got promoted twice, and ended up as a senior software engineer. He reveals how Google started changing everything in 2016, right after Trump was elected. Up until that point, their algorithms were more unbiased, but after that, he states that the company made an intentional shift to use their power to shape public perception, ostensibly to ensure another Trump never got elected. Well, I see that in a rather different way. Trump was brought to power by the cabal to be a focus of attention to divide America. So on one side, you've got cabal assets all around Trump, not least those owned by Israel and assets of Israel, who are supporting him, manipulating him to do what they want. Not that he takes much manipulation when it comes to Israel. And on the other side, you've got the Silicon Valley, quote, elite, that is owned by the same cabal, that is pushing the other way, so you get this massive division of America. And the censorship is overwhelmingly censorship of that which is exposing the cabal, whatever background it comes from. Once Google discovered that Voorhees was the one leaking internal company documents, they called the police in San Francisco to get them to screen him with a mental health wellness check. This is outrageous intimidation and an example of the corporatocracy using the power of the state against its opponents. Google is owned by horrific people. And the people that officially own Google are also horrific in the sense that they allow themselves to be used for this stuff. Silicon Valley, in terms of these giants and monopolies, is a horrible, satanic place, which is not owned actually in Silicon Valley. It's owned through Silicon Valley by people who appear to have no connection to Silicon Valley at all, like the Pentagon and others, which I talk about in the new book. So lawyers warned Voorhees that Google was about to destroy his life, so he went public to gain some degree of safety. Then, in his own words, he set up a dead man's switch, whereby he was, if he were mysteriously to die or be suicided, everything, all his data and docs, would immediately be released to the public. Voorhees has a lot of guts and moral rectitude. Yes, he does. And he walked away from what he states was an annual salary of $260,000 a year. Now, this is the kind of mentality and determination and sense of justice that we need. Most people have said, yeah, I know it's terrible, but I'm getting 260 grand a year, so I'll keep stum. Voorhees has arranged the documents into categories. So far in the everything file, there are 8 categories: censorship, election tampering, fake news, hiring practices, leadership training, machine learning, fairness, partisanship, and psychological research. In the interests of brevity, we will look at some of these sections, but not all, to see what these valuable internal documents tell us about Google's intentions, practices, and agenda. The documents show that some self-described feminist Google employees started a petition to end Google's AdSense relationship with Breitbart and to downrank InfoWars. It also shows that Google possessed a very lengthy blacklist entitled YouTube Controversial Query Blacklist. Take a look at some of the terms used in the blacklist. The image below is just a single page out of 40. So these are some of the terms that are targeted for censorship by Google-owned YouTube. Crisis actors run Las Vegas, crisis actors Vegas, crisis actors videos, and so that goes on. False flag Las Vegas actors, false flag bullshit, and a load of terms that relate to people questioning the Las Vegas shooting, for which there are many questions that still remain unanswered, and that's just one page out of 40. So all sorts of terms made the list this report says, especially those pertaining to false flag operations, where, of course, they set up something and then blame others for it, which clearly shows the areas where the New World Order controllers want to limit public perception. Here are the main overall terms from the blacklist: false flags, crisis actors, how to spot a crisis actor, eyewitness actors, Las Vegas shooting hoax, high school shooter, Stephen Paddock, fake news about Las Vegas, David Hogg forgets lines, Florida hoax, Parkland false flag, abortion is wrong, abortion is a crime, rape crisis network, murder of innocent babies. Now, people may support abortion or they may not. But the point is, everyone should have a right to a view about it and to have that right respected and allowed to circulate so we can have a discussion. On one side, you've got the women's right to choose, which is absolutely a valid stance. And on the other side, you've got people saying, but what about the child? And look at what happens to the child in abortions, etc. What about the child? And that is a valid stance. But no, you suppress one and support another simply by manipulating the flow of information and opinion. Google documents on fake news. One of the documents in this category is another blacklist, this time for news sites to be excluded, entitled News Blacklist Site for Google Now. The document's purpose is stated at the top: manual list of sites excluded from appearing as Google Now stories. The document is long, containing a plethora of libertarian and conservative sites such as naturalnews.com and infowars.com, as well, the article says, as non-partisan freedom sites such as activistpost.com and davidicke.com. On election tampering, the three documents in this section revolve around the rather astonishing action by Google of removing a word from their English-Arabic dictionary for the sole purpose of making Republican President Donald Trump look bad. Trump used the Arabic term, I don't know, you pronounce it, fifi, in a tweet which means I will stand up. Google removed the word to make it seem as though Trump was speaking gibberish and that his tweet made no sense. Some of Google's files leaked by Vorez are screenshots of emails by Google employees who were lamenting the loss of Hillary Clinton in the 2016 US presidential election, or were expressing shock that they did all they could to encourage Latino voters and had no idea so many of them would vote for Trump. For example, check out the words in this image below, which goes into more detail. Part of it says, I have tried to stay objective, but this is devastating for our democratic Latino community. After all these efforts and what we thought was positive momentum towards change, the results are not what we expected at all. I will be taking the next few days off. I had planned a vacation and thought I would be taking time to celebrate. Now it is time to reflect on how to continue to support my community through these difficult times. In other words, we're deciding what you should think, and we're going to skew the information. And through other efforts, we're going to make sure that what we think prevails. But people are not falling for it in the way that they were. So we'll just finish here on the psychological research, because that's what it is in the end. It's a mind game. Google documents psychological research. One of the documents in this section goes to great lengths to talk about algorithmic discrimination. Yet again, the article says, I find it highly ironic that Google is spending all this energy and effort in trying to be perfectly equal, inclusive, and diverse, while blatantly discriminating against those with an open mind pursuing truth and freedom. Quote, conspiracy theorists. It says, this document, algorithmic discrimination results when online processing of information leads to unequal service to or categorization of individual segments of the population that should be treated in the same manner. These inequalities might be based on race, gender, sexual identity, or some other factor, visible or invisible. Diversity is cool, the article says, but only if Google's idea of diversity prevails. If you question governmental lies, see through official narrative propaganda, or think outside the box, Google will use its entire apparatus to derank, downgrade, bury, hide, and obscure you. Welcome to the machine. And the least surprised person on planet Earth to read that was yours truly, having researched what these companies are all about and what their agenda really is for years and years and years. And there's some other stories this week involving Facebook and Amazon that are all in the same ilk. And on the subject of Amazon, here's a story which I saw today on davidicke.com. Amazon executives gave campaign contributions to the head of congressional antitrust probe just 2 months before July hearing. Just 2 months before lawmakers grilled executives from Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google at a hearing held as part of a broader antitrust probe, some of Amazon's top executives made donations to the chair of the subcommittee leading the investigation. That one paragraph sums it up so concisely and magnificently. These companies buy the system. And how the person, who I'll come to in a sec, could take this money and not be thrown out not only of this committee, but out of politics is just confirmation of how corrupt politics really is. The story goes on. Over a 3-week period starting in late May, 5 senior executives from Amazon made individual contributions to Representative David Cicilline, the Democrat from Rhode Island. You know, the Democrats are supposed to stand for working people. Who's leading the House antitrust investigation into major tech companies, public filings show. Cicilline became the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee's Antitrust Commercial and Administrative Law Subcommittee in January when Democrats regained control of the House. The executives include Amazon's CEO of Worldwide Consumer, Jeff Wilk, CFO Brian Olsavsky, General Counsel David Zapolsky, SVP of Worldwide Operations Dave Clark, and SVP of North America Consumer Doug Harrington. So here you have these Amazon executives giving campaign contributions to this Cicilline bloke, who actually is so deleted of integrity that he actually took it when he's leading an investigation on Capitol Hill, investigating that same company as well as others. That is the scale of corruption that is going on today, and has been going on, of course, for a very long time.